Yeah, this is the C-Town Rivals podcast, year 12. And yes, each year it has gotten better and better and more visible and more popular. Why? Because we keep increasing our platforms. You can catch us on the Facebook page. You can check us out on Arizona Varsity Podcast Network, and you can catch us on Sports 360 AZ. It's fantastic. And you know what else is fantastic? Our teams. This week, they went 6 wins and 2 losses, and I'm going to do the breakdown a little bit different. The CUSD went 4-2, and the 2 schools of faith that we have here in Chandler went 2-0 for a total of 6-2. Who else is fantastic? My 2 guys who I've been working with for 11 plus years. Yes, this is year 12, and who do we bring out first? The first person up is, I don't know who's going to come out first. It might be Ralph. It might be Chili. It's going to be one of those guys. There it is. Indeed, it is both at the same time. Ralph, it was you who actually popped on the screen first.
Let's go.
Ralph is indeed the founder of C-Town Rivals and Arizona High School Sports. Really, for my purposes, he founded Arizona Sports. At the high school level. I can honestly say that is
big.
I mean, I've been here for a while, and Ralph has been basically part of it since day one. So I got to give him, as you would say, his flowers, Chili. So I'll definitely say that. And Chili, yeah, you've I don't know, you're an influencer in a different way. I have no idea. You influence so much. I'm going to ask you, what'd you do this past week outside of football? Something that's shareable.
No, I traveled. I got to go to the beach and stuff like that. I went to California to go watch some high school football, but in the process of that, I got to stay in Venice Beach, with our guy Alex Simpson, and just got to hang out and walk around, hit the boardwalk, things like that. So it was just cool. It was cool to have a little bit of downtime during the day and have a beach right there, and just get to hang out and play rover employee for a couple of days and go walk his dog, around. It was cool. It was just cool, different sites and stuff like that, and just getting away is nice sometimes, and being able to see what else is out there.
Absolutely, Ralph. I'll ask you a totally different question. Baseball, in particular, minor league baseball. And you've probably told me before, but have you been to, I think it's called Truist Park, where the Charlotte Knights play? Have you been there?
I have not. I didn't think that this would be a good year to start watching the AAA
of the worst team
in the history of baseball. But the whole downtown is built around this minor league park, which is very cool. Minor league baseball is awesome. I'm not that far from the Savannah Bananas. I just don't have $400 a ticket.
What? Is it that much? Wow.
Yeah, it's an insane amount of money to go to one of those games.
Is it cooler to play for the Savannah Bananas or play minor league baseball? Like it's actually cooler to be Savannah Bananas, right?
If you are not trying to get to the bigs, then I would say it would be cooler to play for the Harlem Globetrotters than it would be to play in Turkey in like the 3rd tier league or something like that. But if you're in the minors and you're still trying to make the bigs, Savannah Bananas is it's probably not for you, but they get paid well and they have a lot of fun.
Because they were out here in Scottsdale at some point at Salt River, not sometime over the summer, I think.
Yeah.
Or early season.
Well, it used to be before our time.
I have not.
Before our time, a lot of sports weren't just these unified leagues. It was a lot of people just coming to your town and putting on athletic showcases. So like Jim Thorpe, one of my athletic heroes, that was a big part of what he would do is he would get all of the Native Americans all across the country, and then they'd go play against local teams all over the country just to showcase, hey, we're coming to your town. We want, meet you at Rucker Park type deal. So, what the Savannah Bananas are doing was actually like a super common form of entertainment back in the day. And now we just have, Harlem Globetrotters, Savannah Bananas. There's not really an entertainment-based football team, but I don't know, maybe there's a business there. Maybe you can start it.
That works. The Globetrotters I have seen many a time. And yeah, just looking at pictures of that Charlotte stadium, it looks incredible. I mean, just the background and the scenery. So yes, that is.
Imagine if Talking Stick was in, if Talking Stick was in North Phoenix, because downtown Charlotte's pretty small. There's only, a few tall buildings. It's probably about the size of North Phoenix as far as their high rises. And then if you just put Talking Stick right smack in the middle of all those buildings, that's what Truist looks like.
That works. That definitely works. And I tell you what else is working. The Seton Catholic Sentinels. They are getting it done. 3 wins and 1 loss on the year now after a blowout 31-6 victory over Alhambra. Most wins in a year for Seton Catholic since 2019, which I believe was Pete Walheim's first season back. This is a squad that scored 24 points in the first quarter. Chase Dixon getting it done in the air. Luke Aguiar getting it done on the ground. It started with a safety, actually. And Ralph, this Sentinel defense, they are ball hawks. They really are.
Yeah. Another awesome performance. Another bunch of interceptions. Shepardson, Jorgensen, Pastore all got picks. I think they almost had a 4th and 5th from what I understand. And then, to not have to depend on Luke Aguiar and to have him only touch the ball 11 times gives him a little bit of a break. Then they got the long break between games. And so, they are rolling right now. They even got Brady Hayes, their backup quarterback, some reps. Wasn't a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but it was dominant against a team that they probably should have dominated against. And so shout out to Seton Catholic. This had me looking ahead at their schedule and wondering if 9-1 was possible.
It's crazy. I mean, 11 picks in their last 3 games. And Chile, I'll ask you, what do we make of this team? Last year, this time, we were like, wow, they're trying to kind of make some things happen, but we know that, yeah, there might be some flashes of brilliance here and there, but they weren't playoff caliber. I mean, they were well below 500 last year, but here we are less than 365 days later, and this is a team that we're talking about is playing great football on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, man, look, it's time to believe in the Walheim way. And, he told, and I brought this up before because I don't remember everything, but I remember a lot of things. And I remember in one of your interviews, he said that the team was built for this year. He was excited about the prospects of the future. So at first I thought it was one of those things like, oh, just want to try to get through this season and then I'll get through next season and whatever. But no, hey, look, we got to believe in the Walheim way. Aguilar is really stepping up and doing his thing. Really blowing up the way that I thought that he could, because I've been talking about him for a while now. So I'm excited, man. Football in Seatown. Listen, it's always nice when Chandler, Hamilton, when those guys are winning. Basha now, it's nice to see Perry successful again. But I think Seatown football is like better when Seton is winning, because that's what I remember from the beginning of the podcast. So
a machine.
Yeah. So like. I'm super excited to see their success, and hopefully they can continue rolling with this. And Ralph envisioning 9-1 dreams. I mean, man, that would actually be huge. That would actually be huge.
It's not far-fetched. I mean, they got a couple toughies coming up, but they will take the field on Friday night. They play at Estrella Foothills. The Wolves are 3-1. The Valley Christian Trojans, they rebound with a 41-6 running clock win over Scottsdale Christian. I would say the head coach, Jake Peterson, he very simply explains the game very, very well.
Well, Coach, big victory, big by the score, that's for sure. In my mind, it's a shutout. I probably think in your mind it's a shutout. Tell me about this defense. They came to play tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they've been capable of that the whole season. We just haven't put things together. Just inconsistencies and some injuries here and there that kept us from being, what we could be capable of. But, we're trying to use this to catapult forward to be something great. So.
I like the combination of Gill to Hansel. I think it's very effective. Tell me about that combo and just kind of, you guys have had some quarterback struggles early on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, really it's just about getting in the rhythm right now. They haven't been able to work together as much because we're trying to figure out the quarterback situation, to be honest with you. And once we get that timing down, I think it could be dangerous. And, for one thing, though, Asher, this is the first game that Asher's really been healthy. I mean, he's had a hamstring issue this whole year. Last week he was a little bit better, and then this week, he's still not 100%, but he's still able to do some good things.
I was going to say 80%, you'll take him, absolutely. Rockefeller, tell me about that running back. He's gritty. He's gritty. He knows how to find the end zone.
Yeah, no, so he's, Jake's worked really hard in the offseason, not only in the weight room, but doing a lot of things to make him a better running back. And he's playing both ways right now, starting both ways. And we try to prevent that as much as we can. But, when you're the best guy, you're the best guy. And so just trying to keep him healthy and everything that we do. So.
You've been around for a while. The 3A is a gauntlet, especially the back half. Tell me about how this win helps you guys prepare for the back half of the year.
Yeah, I think it's more mental than anything right now because we know, physically we have the tools that we need, but mentally we weren't in the right place, I think, with, we weren't able to get into rhythms like we said, whether it was against Thatcher or Florence. And, last week was just a dumpster fire of a game. We're capable of much better than what happened in that game last week. And we just could never get a rhythm. So many turnovers, so many, snaps over the head. Like there's just nothing that we could get in rhythm.
Saturdays, you get to see Dominic Zavada kicking for Michigan. How cool is that?
No, that's something that we're pretty proud of. We got one guy at Michigan, one guy at TCU, so the special teams guys, and then another guy at Gardner Webb. So those guys are doing big things. So,
Coach, always great talking to you.
Thank you, appreciate it, bud.
Chili, I'll say it's always great. Actually, both of you guys, it's always great being on the sidelines at Valley Christian. They've just been so welcoming over the years. Chili, the one thing I'll mention is what I mentioned at the top of the interview. Defensively, this was a shutout. The only scoring that Scottsdale Christian did was a pick six. So the Eagle offense did nothing. And I can't recall if they even ran a play on the other side of the 50. Their defense was that dominant on that Thursday night. Wow.
That's impressive. Valley Christian sounds like they're back. Sounds like they found some happiness at quarterback, which I know how important that position is in general, but especially to Coach Peterson, being able to find some consistency and find a guy that's going to be go-to. And it looks like the other quarterback, Macias, is going to transition to be an athlete, which takes on a different type of leadership. Because I know these kids nowadays. I know the kids nowadays get so caught up in their feelings about like, oh, if I'm not playing quarterback, that means the rest of the team's not looking at me like the guy. That is not true and couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth, because there are so many players out there that have led their teams from different positions that are not the one that takes a snap from center. Mm-hmm. So Macias can contribute to this team in so many different ways offensively and be used as a weapon that could end up leading this team into the playoffs, which is something that we were questioning. So it's one of the most unselfish things to do, to, hand over that quarterback responsibility to somebody else and take on the new responsibilities and exhibit those leadership abilities. I think that this is something that could keep Valley Christian's team together and propel them moving forward.
Ralph, 3A, as we said, is a gauntlet. What's that back half of the schedule look like as they get into region play? And kind of how does that gauge their chances? Because we were talking about, well, hey, a 7-3, a 6-4, it's tough.
Yeah, so they have probably two above average teams. Payson, well, they have one above average team in Payson that they still have to face. They have one excellent team in Benjamin Franklin, and then they have 3 games that are winnable, but they got to be on their game to get these wins. Borgate Catholic, Gilbert Christian, and Paradise Honors make up their next 3. The Paradise Honors game and the Gilbert Christian game are on the road, so they really got to lock in for these next 3 to even set themselves up to have an opportunity when their schedule gets really tough. One of the things I noticed in your interview there, Brett, is he said, Peterson said that they have a player at Gardner Webb. Now, Gardner Webb, 30 minutes from my house. And
wow.
They do. Wilson Kerr, last year's kicker, who made 8 field goals for them, is on Gardner
He's a
Webb.
dog.
So that'll give me an opportunity to go out there and hit him up and possibly get an interview for the show.
That's awesome. It's weird how under the radar kicking is, but at Valley Christian, it's serious. I mean,
might
it's
be
great
kicking you.
It
I mean,
is.
everybody's got tight end U, QB So, like, I mean, Valley
Kicker
Christian might
U.
be kicking you. I mean, holy smokes!
Great
Like,
to
look,
see.
I'm excited though. Like, I was last week. We were very, very concerned. Brett, I asked you a question. I'm going to give you a chance to answer that now because you promised that you would answer that question. But I am super excited for J.R. Gill, for Macias to really figure out this opportunity to make things work for Coach Peterson and take this team into the playoffs.
One team from our school of faith will make the postseason and one will not. That's kind of how I'm gauging it as I look at the body of work of the 2 teams and what we can kind of expect in the back half. I think it's one team. I'd love to see both, and hopefully I'm wrong, but I mean, just from you asked me a question and I want to answer it as professionally as possible. I think only one of the 2 teams makes the postseason. So yes. With that being said, the Valley Christian Trojans, they do host indeed Borgate Catholic 0-4 on the year. So yes, Ralph, that is their home game of those 3 non-strong teams. So yeah, they do need to take care of business. Speaking of taking care of business, the Arizona College Prep Knights, they put up the donut. Second shutout of the season, 34-0 final over Eastmark. Ralph, this team continues to do what we've seen to come and expect: a lot of carries, a lot of running. What I really like is the balance. They're not just running the ball, but they're running the ball with like 4 and 5 guys who are getting some serious numbers.
Yeah, they've got serious diversity on the offensive end. And now defensively pitching a shutout. They are kind of who we thought they were. One of the top 4-ish, 5-ish teams in all of 4A. And, there was definitely some disappointment the last couple of years of not always being able to live up to what they were capable of. Sounds like they're really making a step in the right direction. And I am excited to see if, because offensively is really what matters here. We trust that Coach Vaught, his Chandler High defenses, we trust that was going to carry over. He was the DC last year. It was really, were they going to be able to make some adjustments on the offensive side of the football to maximize their potential? They only threw 10 times against Eastmark. That's all they needed: 7 for 10, 138 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then, like you said, everyone touched the ball. They carried 43 times for 200 yards, 2 scores on the ground. And then we had gotten into what they, what they've been able to accomplish defensively, doing some disruptive things in the backfield. This was probably a career game for Cam Mitchell. He had 4 tackles for loss, 9 tackles total.
Yes, this is it's a nice defense in Chile. I mean, this is a good team, and it's a really good coaching staff. That's the one thing that we are really gathering from all of this. I mean, they've made the appropriate changes offensively. We knew defense was going to be strong, but collectively, Vaught and his boys, they're getting it done.
No, for sure. I love what Coach Vaught has done assembling the staff the way he has. I was always under the impression that, sometimes when a defensive coach takes over a team, they're going to run the defense primarily, or when an offensive coach takes over a team, they're going to run the offense primarily. I did a little digging. That is kind of not the case. Coach Vaught has assembled this staff in a certain way. So he kept Coach Ortiz, who is previously over there at Marcos and then was at ACP, I believe, last year, coordinating the offense. He kept him, retained him, and kind of gave him full control of the offense. Now, that led me to believe that Coach Vaught was going to take full control of the defense, like I said a second ago. That's not the case. Coach Bartz is actually the one that has full control of that defense, and Vaught's just trying to make sure that he's helping to build the culture and make sure that things are level. Listen, I love the way he's done this. He's kind of taken a step back from having all this control, because a lot of head coaches wouldn't do that. So he's put full trust in his two coordinators to handle their business. And also the special teams guy over there, Wendell Schaefer, fantastic job. I love what ACP is doing and how they're building this program. I think that Coach Vaught is priming this program for success for years and years and years. Listen, Bluford kind of put the foundation down, and I always want to credit him for that, because
Absolutely.
he went there through the transition and things like that. Coach Vaught is gonna have to be the guy that takes this next level and probably gets ACP into the 5A and then obviously into the 6A and move forward. So this is exciting times. We could be looking at LA Queen Creek type progression down the line, and they'll be successful in the 4A and then get the opportunity in the 5A, and then boom, welcome to the Open. Welcome back to the Open.
Let me ask you both these guys this. What am I looking for on Friday night? I'm going to go check them out against Yuma Catholic. Shamrocks always bring it. Ralph, I would imagine they got to stick to that same game plan. Keep the ball on the ground, keep your guys a nice, healthy rotation, avoid injury, that sort of thing. I think that's probably a key to success.
Yeah, I mean, this is a possible playoff semifinal type preview. Yuma Catholic played in the championship last year, returned their best offensive weapons. They haven't had the easiest time scoring this year. They went head-to-head with Thatcher, only won that game 19-12. But this is still a roster that Chile, that you've seen them in last year's championship game. They got Rocky Stallworth on the defensive side of the ball. Their Nash Ott, I think, won a bunch of awards for Arizona varsity last year as a quarterback. It's going to be an awesome measuring stick for Evan Heinrich, because he's a junior just like Nash Ott is, and if he can keep up. If this team can keep up with Nash Ott, with Rocky Stallworth, if they can keep guys like Daryl Coleman out of the end zone, who I think has 4 total touchdowns at this point, then it's going to go to show that they're not just one of the better teams in 4A, but they're an actual contender.
Yeah, look, they got a trio of linebackers over there at Yuma Catholic that I think are studs. Sean Carter, Hunter Hancock, and Rocky Stallworth, like Ralph mentioned. They're gonna have to keep those guys moving, keep them active, spread them out. Figure out a way to keep them off of Heinrich. So I think that, as long as guys like Kyle Poole and Sanchez can get loose and stay active out there, run this barrage of running backs at them, I think ACP will be all right. Listen, I said last night, this was a matchup that me and Gridiron broke down. I said last night that I expect this game to be played high numbers. I expect them to light up that scoreboard. I think that Heinrich and Ott, or whoever the quarterback is over at Yuma Catholic, I think that they're going to, try to push the SRP bill up a little bit. So I'm excited. I think that this should be a great game.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I don't think Nash Ott played in the game against Thatcher, so it's possible that he won't be available for this game, but I don't know.
Good stuff. I'll certainly break it down next time we meet. So yes, I'm looking forward to seeing the Shamrocks and the Knights get after it on Friday night. The Casteel Colts, and they even their record at 2-2 with a 45-6 whipping of Mountain Ridge. They had the running clock going, and Paul Palmer, he was on. 5 touchdown passes, over 200 yards. Isaiah Linier, 138 yards on the ground. He seemed like he was sharp. This was actually the type of production that I was hoping to see against Mountain Point, but it came a week later against Mountain Ridge. Chile, I love the senior combination, including someone that I was unfamiliar with, wide receiver Landon Patch. He had 4 catches for 106 yards and a pair of scores.
Yeah, Landon Patch is a dude. Saw him active in a little bit of 7-on-7s and stuff like that. Casteel's loaded with talent. There's no reason that they shouldn't be successful and shouldn't compete, especially in the Premier Region. So I'm excited for the Premier Region play. But this is kind of what I expected. Casteel's kind of right where I thought that they would be. competitively. The Mountain Point game was kind of 50-50, 50% chance that they could win, 50% chance they could lose. They obviously lost. It is what it is. But Paul Palmer, man, this is what I've always expected from him, this type of play. I can't even say how excited I am to see him getting loose the way that he is with this opportunity that Coach Newcomb has given him. There's so much talent over there with the Mason Lewises, the Elijah Beemans, the Merrick Kabakis. Offensively, this team is super explosive.
Ralph, it was good for this team to kind of catch a breather. They had the physical game against Queen Creek, obviously, followed by Mountain Point. They come up with a big game. This was the most lopsided game they actually had since week 4 of last year when they blanked Trevor Brown. So this was good to see them be able to, I don't even want to say experiment with some things, but to really get on track as they start to get into a tougher schedule.
Yeah, I mean, you play some tough, close games, and it's nice to make the adjustments and get out to a lead and hold it. It's also just great to see them having some consistent quarterback play with Paul Palmer because of, when I think of Casteel, and maybe you guys are the same way, I think of 2017 undefeated with a roster of Gunnar Cruz, Nick Arve, and Dane Christensen. Yep. I think of a school that we were looking at and saying like, oh, this is going to be like the quarterback mecca, right? So, they little bit of a struggle through COVID, a little bit of going back and forth between athletes, some injuries, some transfers, and now we have Paul Palmer, and he's got 13 touchdowns, no interceptions, 4 games into the season, and he's really proving Chile right for some of the accolades that Chile gave him back in 2021.
It's definitely good stuff. Good to see. Palmer's. I like Palmer's game. And again, it's like I wish I would have been able to see his performance this past Friday, 2 weeks ago when I was over there. But as long as he's getting it done, it doesn't matter who's in attendance. We're going to find out how skilled these players are. They'll play a 2-2 Mesa on Friday night. The Perry Pumas, they dropped their first game of the season, falling 24-20 to the Brophy Broncos. This was my first look at Cale Snyder. He's poised. He's disciplined. He doesn't really try to force anything, which I think is really good for a sophomore. This was a really good game, very competitive game, second game in a row that I've unfortunately seen a CUSD team lose to a non-CUSD team at home. The Broncos front 4 kept Cale Snyder moving. That's the one thing. They made him uncomfortable. They made him throw the ball out of bounds consistently. I'll say, Ralph, this was because I think you caught a good part of the game on YouTube. This wasn't so much what what Perry did wrong. Brophy is that good. I mean, this was more about a Brophy win than a Perry loss in reality.
Yeah, and I mean, Perry did have an opportunity at the end of the game. I think they had like 1st and 10 from the 35 with less than a minute left. Correct. And Cale, you were 100% right. Cale Snyder never really had the opportunity to just be in the pocket. And you look at his stat line, 14 of 34, right? So 20 incompletions, only one of those was intercepted. So he did a pretty good job of keeping the football out of harm's way, but they didn't really get a ton of help in the rushing game. They only had 3 carries that went for a first down. Talon Frazier had an 18-yarder, Nate Wheeler had a 35-yarder, and then Cale Snyder had an 11-yard scramble. But other than that, Brophy was doing a great job of keeping everything in front of them. It was just an awesome defensive performance. I think they had LJ Walker a little bit shook up. He had kind of a late drop. But I mean, that they had the ability to get the ball in the end zone to win the game there at the end, and it was just a matter of Cale Snyder never had a moment to just get his feet set and let it rip. So I think that was definitely a credit to Brophy, but I think Perry also has to be thinking about this as like, we could have won that game. We belong. People are looking at Brophy right now as an open team. Why not us? But in order to get there, they're going to have to turn around and knock off a couple of teams that they haven't been able to in years past.
That's true. Chile, I'll ask, where does Perry go from now? Do they very simply go out and embarrass Shadow Ridge, taking their frustrations out on that squad?
They have to. They have to reprove. They have to reset and reprove. But listen, off of something that Ralph mentioned, 14 to 34 sounds crazy. If you say that somebody's quarterback is 14 of 34. You think that team probably got blown out with the way that they had to air it out. But to only have one interception amongst those 20 passes, it's kind of smart decision making. Throw the ball away, get another down.
He did that.
The ball away,
he did that very, very well.
And clearly, like, they didn't get blown out. They did not get blown out. Like, I know that Coach Ortiz doesn't want the moral victories or anything, but this is a sign of Brett, something that you tweeted out. A mature quarterback that's going to get a lot of wins. Throw the ball away, get another down. I'm gonna make sure that I give my team another opportunity rather than force my defense to come back on the field tired. So they get the ball back, and then they get a little bit of time. The defense gets a little bit more of a breather. I mean, I'm encouraged about the future for Perry for sure. Listen, Brophy is an open team. They are absolutely massive in the trenches. They're loaded athletically at wide receiver. They got a pair of running backs. They got 2 quarterbacks that can go. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit during another segment that's coming up. But like, I love the way that this Brophy team is put together defensively. They got dudes and leaders, Creed Thomas, Don Mitchell. So like, man, Perry has a lot to, just take away from this game and get ready for, do their thing versus Shadow Ridge. But now they know what Premier Region play is going to look like. Not that they don't, but, preparing for the Bashas, the Chandlers, the Hamiltons, it's going to look just like Brophy looks. So I'll get back on track, get the confidence levels back to where they should be. Run the bill up versus, Shadow Ridge and our old friend, Coach Zadepski. I love him to death. I know he's trying to put that program together, but, we'll see how this whole thing works.
Absolutely, and it should work out in Perry's favor indeed. The Pumas traveling up to Surprise to take on the Stallions. The Basha Bears, they dropped their first game of the season, falling in California to Mission Viejo 31-28. Chili, you were out there. It was a wild first quarter. It seemed like the Bears fell down but got back up, and in the end, they just came up a bit short.
Yeah, it was hard. It was like 16 on 11 most times. The refs, some nasty work over there. I'm really trying. It's really been hard for me to like not go in on the refereeing. But there were just the more that I replay some of this stuff, and there was just so much bad work. I don't want to take anything away from Mission Viejo, which was super loaded, and I could go down the list. 2 talented quarterbacks, Drayden Trudeau, Luke Fahey, operated flawlessly. Absolutely love the leadership out of their senior. 2 dynamic receivers, Phillip Bell and Ohio State commit Vance Spafford, who's going to go anywhere he wants in the country. Running back, Devontae Curtis. Defensively, they had a dude, Dijon Lee, a cornerback, looks SEC. I think he's committed to Bama. And then up front, they were tough. They had guys like Jaden Hill, Jaden Williams. Basha met every challenge that was thrown at them on the field from a competitive standpoint. The only thing that they didn't meet was dealing with the refs. Bad pass interference call leads to a touchdown. Terrible fumble that I posted on Twitter that I'm pretty sure, Brett, you saw. I'm not sure, but looked absolutely awful. Ref spotted the ball down. No, that's not a fumble. Kid was still on his feet. So shout out to all those guys that balled out for Basha. Guys like Blue Dantzler who left it all on the field. Mello Adams, Caden Williams, Eli Cronin, absolute savage out there. Mark Dewerson in the trenches. Sam Garcia, Villa, Hildebrand. All those guys were doing their thing, making holes for Noah Roberts, keeping Brody Veers upright, and then Gio Richardson, Cash Brock. All those guys that fleet receivers over there really tried to make that thing cook, and they still had a chance. Battling all that, they still had a chance. Coaching was great on both sides. I really got to say, like, this is a game that didn't need the refs' help. Mission Viejo arguably could be the best team in Arizona team bases all year. I know there's some arguments for the Corona Centennial team. I don't know. I think that one's like 7 to 10 points either way. But shout out to
They play
Basha.
each other next week.
Oh, do they? Well,
no, I'm kidding you. Totally kidding you.
Well, they're going to play each other. They are going to play each other, Brett. So it might not be next week, but whenever it is, they are going to play each other. I'm guessing in the California playoffs, and so we'll see. And then at that point, we're going to get a better idea of where Liberty versus Basha stands, if we're getting way ahead of ourselves, just in case, because the Open is a thing. But Basha, absolutely phenomenal. Coach McDonald and that entire staff over there, the way that they kept their composure through all the bad calls, through all the adversity out there. I was super impressed and proud of our guys. They went out, represented Arizona ball. Guys like Alabama GM Courtney Morgan were out there. Sean Lewis, the coach from SDSU, was out there. Dante Williams from Georgia, all taking it all in. Adam Gorney, everybody was taking that game in, and they all came away very, very impressed with Basha's collection of talent and their composure. So I do want to say all that. Sorry if I took up too much time.
No, it's all good, Ralph. My question to you, similar to what I asked Chili about Perry, does Basha take their frustration out on Sandra Day O'Connor? It's one of those things where it's like, hey, you know what? It's time to put some points. Let's double our points total.
Well,
must be rhetorical.
The budding rivalry, thanks to Chili and I and others, is Liberty and Basha, right?
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay, so every single time O'Connor plays Liberty, war crimes are committed. So I think if you're Basha, you have to keep that same energy. But Basha and O'Connor, they played a few times. I actually went to one out in North Phoenix. It's a pretty good game. I think O'Connor won that one, but that was early in DeMond's career, I believe.
That was a playoff game.
Yeah, and then they played in the regular season the year before, and I can't remember who Basha's starting quarterback was. They had a senior out there.
I was going to say, going back earlier, I recall seeing Ryan Kelly lead a Basha playoff win at home against Sandra Day O'Connor. So, yeah, there is that rivalry that is spanning, obviously, 12 years now.
And those schools are like the way that Chili jokes about living far away from you, Brett, is like that's actually as far as it can possibly get and
that
still technically be in the valley. I think like Dysart to ALA Queen Creek would be the only thing further than that. But I have been exchanging texts with Coach McDonald today, and I just want to say he said, Chili, this is what you should say, that it was a game-changing call, but they still had plenty of opportunities to win.
That's what I said. Basha still had a chance. Basha still had a chance, but there was listen. And like I said, I don't want to take anything away from Mission Viejo, the quality of their players or the quality of their coaching staff. They did not need the help to compete. They just got it by choice or whatever. They just got it.
Well, we talk about maybe some California home cooking, but let's not.
Coach Wade also. Coach Wade from Arizona. I'm getting it up that Coach Wade was out there. I do know that Coach Wade was out there watching his guy Gio Richardson return the opening kickoff all the way to the crib, making the crib call. And I did notice Coach Wade, since somebody from Arizona's watching, tuned in. I did notice that Vance Spafford was wearing an Arizona towel too. Boom, there. I said it. Okay, Coach.
I have two questions for you, Chili. Question number one, did you send that tweet about the opening kickoff like 13 times?
Yeah. So I sent it 4 times. This is what happened.
So
one for each quarter.
No, this is what happened. I sent it and I said I think I put Gio Richardson returns the opening kickoff, blah, 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 blah. Then somebody was like, oh, great kickoff return by Dash Blake. And I was like, wait, that wasn't Dash Blake. That was Gio. And then they showed me the video. And in their video, the last person running into the end zone was Dash Blake. And I was like, wait a second. I was like, that can't be right. So I was like, oh, my God. I was like, I don't want to credit the wrong person in a game this big. So I deleted the tweet and I reposted that Dash Blake returned the kickoff. And then I talked to Coach Wade on the sideline. He's like, man, you see my guy take back the opening kickoff. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, what is going on? I was like, I knew I wasn't a crazy person. So I went back and I deleted the Dash Blake returned the opening kickoff tweet. And then I posted that Gio Richardson returned the opening kickoff. And then it happened again. Another reporter was like, man, that was such an incredible return by Dash Blake. And I was like, oh my God.
I'm going you had me feeling You had me feeling like I had amnesia or something. So I retweeted the same tweet 4 different times, and I had no idea what was going on.
So I deleted the tweet, and then I did my own homework. I got a better person's camera that had an actual like functional like movie style camera. I was like, I want to see the opening kickoff right now, and they showed it to me, replayed it, zoomed in, and we confirmed that it was Gio Richardson, and that was it. That was it for me. Hit the retweet. So Gio got credit, then Dash got credit, then Gio got credit twice. So.
All right, my second question is for both of you. We can explain the officiating in California as home cooking. How do we explain Perry Basha last year? Are they all from tough. California too?
That's
tough.
No,
but those are Ortiz's guys. Ortiz got his referee goons. So
that's what we're claiming is that there's like a cabal of referees loyal to Coach Ortiz.
That's crazy.
I'm just kidding.
Listen, conspiracy theories. Here we go.
No, listen. Wow. Ortiz has done an amazing job. Building his programs up, and I just got to have some fun with him. But it's always Basha versus everybody right now. That's what it seems like, at least. Like nobody wants to see their success. They're preying on their downfall constantly. So
I do, because they live around the corner from me.
Shout out. Listen, like I said.
Are you saying the better they get, the more neighborhood traffic you have?
Unfortunately, that is partially true. Actually, it's more walking traffic. More kids tend to go to Basha in this neighborhood when they're winning than not.
That's funny. Sure. So I can't even leave the house today because Donald Trump is like 2 miles from here.
Oh, that's
and so like So I imagine Basha football is on the level of like Donald Trump excitement.
I was going to say there were some comments that I would make, but we'll move on to the Chandler Wolves. They improved to 4-0. They crushed the Aztecs of Corona del Sol 49-6. Chile, they have done what I've asked them, and that was win their first 4 games. They're playing well. Any names for you, Chile, that are really popping off outside of Browder and Halsana?
Yeah, defensively, Xavier Sr., me and Ralph talked about him a little bit last time. I'm hoping that Ralph expands on that a little bit. But Scooby Bradley has been an absolute dog on defense, an absolute problem. One of my favorite defensive backs in the state, causes so many problems for offenses. Halsana's been a guy for them. I know that Mensel's been solid. I know they've been rotating in Dominic Carmigiano, super talented quarterback room over there. And, I'm super proud of my guy, Coach Boyd, who climbed up from freshman and has taken over that quarterback room. So I'm super excited for him to have that opportunity. Skylar Ormita is going off, and offensively, shout out to Coach Chick. I got to show some love to Noah Swope. Their left guard over there is an absolute monster. So I want to show love to some of those guys, and they're putting in the work. And I have to bring this up all the time because I don't know everything. So I'm definitely going to say that the parents don't know everything either. So parents in the past talking crazy about Coach Garrettson and his time has come. Listen, all he's done is kept this program afloat, and I'm going to remind people all the time. All he's done is kept this championship program afloat and at the top, competing versus the best in Arizona year after year. So calm down, breathe, and let my man's do his job. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah,
the schedule starts here. Yeah,
it does start here. I just want to, for Chandler parents, if you still feel this way,
talk to the wall.
8-2 is not what a fall off looks like. It's not. A fall off looks like, 2 programs that have won multiple championships in the last decade are currently winless.
Yeah, I was going to I was going to say the actual school names, but we know who we're talking about. That's a fall off. I agree.
And
I don't know.
When I went to Chandler, we lost to like Yuma Kofa. We struggled with Dobson. Like, Chandler has no right to be good. It's not a right. you can absolutely regress to what you were. Chandler technically on the north side, I know they're putting in apartments and stuff, but it can't really get bigger. And it is landlocked, and it is over 1/3 free and reduced lunch. Chandler being good is the anomaly, not the other way around. So your program being competitive is something you should be thankful for. And I understand that the expectation is the expectation. And I told Chili last night, and I've said on this show before, used to sit in the stands when I covered games back in 2012 and listen to parents call for Sean Aguano to be fired. History has not been kind to those parents who chanted those things. So, I think the fan base, that little party on Oakland Street, all the support they had when they were bad for years and years and years is awesome. But once you set the standard, once you set the expectation, other people are going to hold you to it. So I'm glad that Coach Garrettson's in charge out there. And I want Chandler, I want people who follow Chandler football to realize you don't have a right to win, right? It is done through a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And this team is not full of like 4 and 5 stars.
Correct.
Not at
Very
all.
True.
But they've like you brought up, Tristan or Xavier Sr., undersized defensive lineman, 6'1", 210, who is creating havoc in the backfield. Sophomore defensive players that are already performing at a high level on the defensive end, but aren't like future big time D1 recruits. The culture is winning now, not the talent. And that is directly related to this coaching staff that Chili's always praising. So, I don't see as much of the pushback as I did when they had a couple of people transferring in expecting to take the world over. I think this program has gotten more back to like, hey, who are the kids in North Chandler and the kids through open enrollment that want to help us win, regardless of whether they can run a 4.6 40 or bench 400, right? So I don't know. I'm proud of what Chandler is right now. I'm proud of the fact that they're back to running the ball. And I think when every school that we cover is competitive, it's a lot more fun to do this gig every single week. So, Chandler is competitive. And like you said, they're getting into the meat of it right now. We're going to find some things out about Chandler. And one of the things we might find out is that maybe they're not one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the state. Chili and I have never even had them up there anyway. We've had them as low as 7. They're kind of hovering around 6. But they also might surprise some people. I would just say from year to year, don't cling too much to the reputation of the past, because you could be Saguaro right now. You could be Centennial right now looking for your first win of the season, and Chandler's undefeated. So don't hit the panic button just yet. Let the season play out, and we'll see where the chips fall.
And I think that Chandler is I don't know what the proper word is or whatever, rebreeding though, like with Coach Frazier and his freshman staff. Well, because Coach Frazier, Jawan Frazier played for Chandler, so yes, he has now come back to take over the freshmen to breed those young guys and show them the Chandler way. There's nothing. First off, I love freshman football. I love going out to the games on Wednesday night, watching these guys go to work. But for Chandler to and I know there's a couple of programs that have this, but for Chandler to be able to bring somebody back to show them the way, I think is absolutely amazing. Frazier's freshmen, I cannot wait to get a look at them. I might maybe tonight. I don't know. I got to see what it really looks like elsewhere. But I'm excited.
We'll say go Wolves, and so far the going has been good for the Chandler Wolves. Up Arizona Avenue, or down technically on the south side of Arizona Avenue, the Hamilton Huskies. They are 4-0 after their 52-18 win over Desert Vista. Ralph, what I think is impressing me, they have increased their point total every week. 17, 35, 44, and now 52. That's a 37 points a game average. If they keep that up, they're going to win a lot of games no matter what they do and how they do it.
That is true. I mean, that
because I don't know if going in, I would have, through 4 games, I would have said, oh, hey, they're going to be averaging 35 points a game. I mean, even our traditional good Hamilton teams, or very good, you know what I'm saying, back in the day, they ran the ball a lot. They drop a clock on you, but it wasn't that high 40. But we would be more impressed with the defense than the point total.
There was a lot of 28 threes in that 63 game winning streak.
That's right.
Because I mean, they'd start trying to run the clock out on you in the first quarter. You know, they just put stats in last night, and so what I was very curious to see is if they did run the ball, right? Because we had talked a lot about the fact they were averaging about 9 running back carries a game going into this Desert Vista game. They got an early lead, and while they did throw the ball almost 50 times, they ran a hurry up. They ran 79 plays, which means they ran the ball 31 times. You got double-digit carries for your guy Jacob Brown, Chili, and then Smith the third, 12 carries, 98 yards, 3 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns on the ground total is what they are crediting Hamilton with. That is a big change from what we saw the first 3 weeks. So to have 200 yards rushing, almost 400 yards passing, they were able to show that they could do both. So very, very impressed. It was a little bit more of what we wanted to see. Sabriam Torres scored another couple of touchdowns in the passing game or in the receiving game. And you know, defensively, Zach Stowe blocked a punt. Dylan Linder got an interception. They dominated all over the football field outside of maybe covering Isaac Price, who had 175 yards receiving. But other than that, this is really what you want to see out of the Hamilton Huskies.
It is, Chili, and we'll see more of that on Friday night when they play Valley Vista.
Yeah, you know, I'd love to see a breakout Jacob Brown game. You know, I love that Michael Smith was I think he's right around 100 yards of rushing yards. I would like to see Jacob Brown with, you know, something healthy. I don't know, somewhere north of 150, maybe 200. You know, I just think that he's capable, right? Give him a breakout game. Let him get his feet under him and let him get comfortable. I have the most respect in the world for the coaches over there, Mazzone and Pebbler. I think offensively they do a great job. They really balance out Coach Dixon and Barrett. So like I think that, you know, this is a team that, you know, we should, you know, man, they're the last ones we're talking about. It's been a while since Hamilton's been the last team that we talk about on the show. So
True.
You know, maybe Hamilton's back now. And I said that they were back before, but maybe they're actually back now. So some solid victories under them. And yeah, they just gotta be the boogeyman. Just gotta be the boogeyman and run it up versus Valley Vista. Sorry, Valley Vista, but it's one of those things. Also, free 17, got to show some love to you know, my guy, Rinaldi. So Reese, hang in there. Can't wait to see you back.
I mean, I'll say this is just a really great week. I mean, as we said, 6-2, and the 2 losses combined 7 points to 2 teams that we know are going to go very, very far in their respective state playoffs. And obviously that would be Brophy and Mission Viejo. So yes, 6-2. We'll see what goes down this week. But as always, fellas, terrific chopping it up with you. The insight that we bring to the city of Chandler and beyond, in my mind, is phenomenal. Chili, as always, be well. Ralph, as always, be well. We'll see you guys next week. This is